Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll get into the Royals finally finishing their run of games against division leaders with some success, but not really. We'll talk about the NBA and NHL Finals and the now extended into at least a fifth game in each of those leagues. But because our shooting schedule for this Morning Track Hour so close together, we've had a very short time between our last episode and this one. Mike, in the last 4 days, well, what's been the most interesting story to you? Is it during that last time period? Is it the Nathan's hot dog contest not allowing Joey Chestnut to compete? The McDonald's mascot perhaps kicking off a New York Mets win streak, or something else, or
Uh,
the Chiefs punting battle
Chiefs punting
being
battle.
decided early at the end of the mini camps in the NFL.
Yeah, it seems like Matt Ariza has won the punting job, or at least he's the has the inside track now. I guess the Joey Chestnut thing is interesting, although it's not a I wouldn't call the hot dog eating contest a huge, really important sporting event, but it's become a big thing because of the rise of competitive eating. I kind of like the Grimace angle for some reason. When he threw out the first pitch in the Mets game, the Mets have not lost since. I think
May never lose again.
maybe Grimace should sign a contract with the Mets. He does have the word ace at the end of his first name, or his only name, I guess. I don't know if he has a last name, Grimace.
Perhaps
Uh,
he has more names we just don't know about.
what is Grimace? Do you know?
What actually is he?
Yeah,
Purple? I don't know.
he's
That's
a
is that
purple thing, but was he a was is he? I thought he was supposed to be like a shake or something, but I don't know exactly what.
some kind
Uh,
of monster maybe?
yeah, he's just a uh purple blob of some sort.
Oh, he was introduced in 1971 as the evil Grimace.
Ooh,
But then they soon dropped evil from his name, apparently.
oh wait, supposedly he's a taste bud, is what somebody says in Can at least the McDonald's CEO of Canada said Grimace was an enormous taste bud. I don't know if I buy that.
An anthropomorphic taste bud. I do see that here. Yeah.
Taste
He's
bud
the
milkshake.
embodiment of a milkshake
I've seen him as a
or
I
a
think
taste
milkshake makes more sense to me. Evil Grimace.
bud. Evil Grimace is not exactly where I was expecting that to get start.
Yeah, he's not really evil anymore. He's he's very kind and mild-mannered, meek, I think, Grimace. A little bit like a Snuffleupagus type of character, or I think.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Grimace threw out the first pitch, and the Mets have not lost since. I think they're on their way to winning their sixth straight. They're up 12-2 over the Rangers right now. So the Grimace winning streak might be real. The I believe you bet on the Mets, didn't you, this year, or did you just bet on them last year, Dr. Scaff, as part of your over/under?
I think I had them on the under, I think, this year, didn't I?
Let me go back and check the tape.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had them on the under, which as of right now would still be pretty safe. They're still 4 games under 500 on the season, so I don't think they're on their way to a huge year, at least anyway, unless this Grimace streak extends into like August or so.
No, I don't think so. Speaking of New York, so Coney Island is where the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is located. are you going to watch this year or not watch because Joey Chestnut is not in it?
Don't I've only checked in rarely on the hot dog eating contest. Is it on the 4th of July?
It's on the 4th of July.
It's
Yeah,
part of the 4th of July festivities, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I don't know that I could name another competitive eater, and I'm okay with that though. What about you?
I think
Is
I'm
this
fine.
an appointment television for you? Do you make sure you're always free to watch that on the 4th of July?
No, I don't think I've ever actually watched it. I've only seen highlights of it. But I think if I were visiting Coney Island in July of this year, the most exciting thing that's going on is the Coney Island, the Brooklyn Cyclones, the Coney Island affiliate of the New York Mets, is having a George Costanza bobblehead giveaway, uh, where he is wearing the Gore-Tex coat. Uh, when he wore the Gore-Tex coat and knocked over those bottles of wine in the liquor store and was forced to give away his Gore-Tex coat. So he looks a little bit like Grimace, I think, wearing that coat. So it all comes around together. So I believe July 20th is no wait, August 10th. It's August 10th. I thought it was in July.
Oh.
They just promoted it very early.
So
Um,
you were scheduled to be there in July, but you've now changed your plans so you can make sure to get this bobblehead doll
Oh
giveaway.
wait, the Yankees are giving away a Costanza themed bobblehead for their July 5th game against the Red Sox. So there is a Costanza bobblehead in July, but that's for the Yankees. And their bobblehead is George swinging the bat, uh, like when he instructed. You remember when he became a genius because he stopped having sex, and then he instructed Gary Sheffield and Derek Jeter how to hit home runs. Uh, and uh and Jeter goes, "We won the World Series." And Costanza goes, "You remember his reply?
No.
In 6 games."
Yeah. It's great.
That was the '96 World Series that they had won against the Braves. But uh so that's the Costanza bobblehead that they're giving away. Would you rather have Costanza in the Gore-Tex coat or Costanza swinging a bat as a bobblehead if you could only have one?
I the bat like one makes more sense like for the sport, I think, which means the other one is the stranger one, and that's the one you should really want, right? The bizarre sort of bizarre one that you don't really know how it links to whatever the event is, right?
Yeah.
That's the one you should want, I think.
I I think the Costanza bobblehead swinging the bat is also less rare. I think they're giving away 18,000 of those. Only
Oh,
2,000 of the um, Gore-Tex coat Costanza,
feels
where they're
feels
calling him
ignorant.
the original Bubble Boy, which is a different episode,
Yeah.
not related to the Gore-Tex coat, but um, still, I don't know if I really like the mixing of episodes and mixing
The
of
bubble boy bobblehead.
yeah, it's not the Bubble Boy. Bubble Boy was in the bubble, and Costanza is not. He was just wearing the Gore-Tex coat.
Yeah. But what if it was a bubble boy bobblehead?
It would be hard to. I guess it would be really just like a really sickly kid probably inside of a tent. Uh, that wouldn't be so good.
It's mostly just to be able to try to say that.
The Bubble Boy bobblehead.
Yes. Right.
That's probably why they had the Costanza Bubble Boy, but
Yeah.
it's Gore-Tex. But yeah, I do like the batting one because he had more connection with the Yankees than he did with the Mets uh in the show. Although
Yeah.
Seinfeld himself is a Mets fan growing up
Right.
on Long Island. He had Keith Hernandez and there, and then George tried to get fired from the Yankees so he could go work for the Mets, uh, but that ended up backfiring. And Mr. Wilhelm, I believe, got the job with the Mets. Uh,
Right.
so, but anyway, probably I guess the most interesting maybe actual sports story is probably the punter contest. Ryan Rickow, the Chiefs undrafted free agent that they brought in after the draft to challenge Matt Ariza, the former legendary, aka the person known as the punt god in college from San Diego State, who had those off the field legal issues that seem to be resolved. He is now the leader in the clubhouse as the regular punter. Are you surprised that this punting competition was cut short? Did you know there was a punting competition? Uh, what's your take on the
If I had remembered that they had even signed another punter, I'm not sure of that. Like I don't remember that they if I heard that they had signed another punter, I'd forgotten already. So obviously it was not, at the forefront of my expectation for the Chiefs positional battles this season. Uh didn't even really pay attention to it, I guess. So it's a little surprising that you would cut it short before you get into any part of the actual like preseason though. Like
Yeah, you might want to.
maybe hang around for a game or so, maybe. But yeah, we're still like months away, over a month away from the first preseason game.
Maybe it's because because of so many special teams changes with the new kickoff rules and stuff like that. Maybe they don't want to have a punting battle go on alongside that. Maybe it's too much for Dave Tube to concentrate on, and they just want to have one
Yeah,
punter, one holder, and then we'll deal with the kickoffs and go from there. Maybe
I guess so.
that's part of it. Or maybe the roster, maybe the Chiefs roster did not want to have two punters on it. There's a 90-man roster, which is pretty big. So they ended up when they dropped Reckow, they added a defensive backup, probably probably backup at best defensive lineman to the 90 man.
Backup defensive lineman.
Yes,
At
maybe
this point, probably.
maybe replace the oft troubled Isaiah Buggs, who ran into more uh, problems with the law in Alabama. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut fairly soon from the Chiefs roster.
Yeah.
But that there wasn't much. There isn't much Chiefs news going on right now. The minicamp is over. I guess Xavier Worthy signed his contract, so all the Chiefs draft picks are signed. He's still nursing an injury, a hamstring injury, so he wasn't really seen much. So it's hard to, nothing. We talked about the Mecole Hardman signing last week, so hasn't been a whole lot of movement on the Chiefs front. Should we segue into where there is movement, and that's in I guess almost maybe they're almost over now. It seems like the NBA and NHL Finals. Uh, each of those games was each of those series was 3-0. The Celtics were up 3-0 over the Mavericks, and the Florida Panthers were up 3-0 over the Edmonton Oilers. And then uh, the series each became 3-1 when the teams that were behind won blowout victories in Game 4. So they all are now at least moving on to Game 5. As we're talking right now, the NBA is in Game 5, and it's not looking very good for the Mavericks.
Hmm.
Uh, they're down
22 points now of 6.5
97,
to go.
97 to 75 with about 6.5 minutes left to go in the game. According to ESPN, the Celtics are 99.9% likely to win the series and then win the championship. So maybe the question is, do you think the NHL will be more competitive? Do you think there's a chance of a game 6? Do you think the Oilers can pull out a game 5 victory and move it to 6 games? Or do you think it'll be as anticlimactic as the NBA?
Yeah, because when you said blowout, they were both like massive blowout. Not even two. This was near a 40-point win for Dallas, and then was an 8-1
Eight to
win
one, yeah.
for Edmonton. So I mean, if you were to guess, I think you'd have to say like, well, you would hopefully assume that the Edmonton game would have more, they'd be more competitive than Dallas Mavericks are being right now, I guess. But I don't know. I would pretty much assume that both teams, both series are going to end probably at the same point.
So you're predicting
Maybe both
you're predicting a 5 game
game
victory
five
for uh
finals. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna predict the NHL goes to six, at least six. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
say the Edmonton rides the wave of the of game four, and game five also goes to Edmonton. So we'll see who's right. I do think that Florida's going to win the series. But I'm hoping that Edmonton makes it at least competitive.
Yeah, and so both of those game fives are in the team that's up 3-1 in their home court or rink.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd sort of expect the home team to be win anyway, regardless of where they are in the series or what the record was.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
there actually is a home field, court, rink, ice advantage.
Home ice advantage, they usually say. They usually say home
Yes.
ice advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is, but I think also I think just the series will go on a little bit longer. I hope.
No.
That's my hope. Speaking of being at least somewhat competitive, the Royals were at least somewhat competitive in their three straight series, or was it three straight or four
Mostly
straight
four
series?
straight
Four
series, yeah.
straight series, I guess. It turned out to be 12 games. There was supposed to be, I think, a 13th game that got rained out in Cleveland.
Oh, Seattle was before that. And they're the leaders in the AL West
Mhm.
before they played Cleveland. Yes. Then they
Was
had
that the
the
rain? Was the rain out
Yankees.
Seattle, or was it? I thought there was a Cleveland rain out too. Maybe there was
Right, that
a.
wasn't Cleveland one, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So they finished 5-7 in those 12 games. So not terrible, but you would like them to be over 500 in that stretch. But
Yeah.
they played the Mariners, the former Indians, now the Guardians, the Yankees, who are the best team in baseball right now by in terms of record, and they're actually getting better, it seems like, because Garrett Cole is now going to pitch for them. He was out the entire first half of the season, basically, and now the
Yeah.
Dodgers, the other team that people probably thought was the best team in baseball before the season started. Although the Royals only won one game each against the Yankees and the Dodgers, they did manage to injure Dodgers star Mookie Betts
Yeah.
because
On the way out. Yes.
our favorite replacement pitcher, uh,
Dan Altavia.
Dan Altavia, threw a pitch inside, and it seems like it broke Mookie Betts' hand or wrist or something like that. So
A bizarre roster thing that probably should never have been added to the 40-man roster. Somehow managed to avoid punishment like Daniel Lynch seems to have been banished. Also, he had kept his job at the Major League roster. You know, he was maybe more to blame for the Yankees blowout game. They kept him around long enough to apparently break Mookie Betts' hand. Was
that's why
that
he was. That's why they
that's where we are, I guess, right now in the royal decision making at the high levels of the organization.
Yeah. Any besides the kind of odd roster construction, any takeaways from the uh last few series, 5-7 in their last 12 games? Does this
Uh,
show that the Royals are competitive? They can keep up with the good teams, or is it just maybe a not so great stretch that the Royals have had?
I think you have to take some positive from it. Like they did hold their own in all of the series. They won at least one game. They still have not lost. They have not been swept in a series all year. And actually, the final game of the Dodgers series is the first game they were shut out all year. It's also the
Mhm.
first game they did not have an extra base hit in the length of one game anyway. So that's they went 72 games with at least an extra base hit in every game. Had not been
Yeah,
shut
that's very
out.
impressive.
They've still managed to not be swept in any series. So those are, I mean, these are like positive things across the course of the season that have to see this as improvement from on the of the franchise compared to previous years. Uh, I think you also have to pull from the season so far. Seth Lugo is now a 10-game winner. Do you know that Royals did have not had a have only had seasons with 10-game winners in the last 6 years? They've only had two pitchers that had 10 wins in a year.
Ooh,
In the previous 6 years,
that's
Mike,
not
and
so
now
good.
Seth Lugo is the third.
He's already got him through 73 games. I believe this is also his.
Maybe the
So,
All-Star
so
break, and he's
I think
already
it's his.
tied team record for wins in the season in the last 6 years.
Mhm. I believe Seth Lugo has also broken his own personal record for most wins in a season already. So he
Is
did
that right?
not. I believe I saw that somewhere. Um, that he is.
That's impressive. I know he'd been like setting personal records for strikeouts in games, which is pretty good because he's been around quite a while, but he's not really been, I guess, known as a big strikeout pitcher. But
Actually, when he won his ninth game, he broke his own record. So he was 8-7 last year for the Padres. He won 7 games a couple of times with the Mets. He was a relief pitcher, I think,
yeah, for
some
chunks of his career.
for chunks of his career. So, but he became a starter again last year, and he has really continued his strong starting pitching this year. So yeah, he's got 2.40 ERA. It's gone up a little bit in the last few starts, but he is 10-2 on the season, leading the Royals, uh, who are currently 5 games behind Cleveland in the Central Division, only half a game up above Minnesota, who's kind of hung around with the Royals. So the Royals need to try to distance themselves and gain some ground, distance themselves from Minnesota and gain some ground on Cleveland, which maybe they can if they make those rain out game and have some home games against the Guardians.
Well, I think their next series is against the not division leading Oakland A's,
Hmm.
and then they get 3 games at the Texas Rangers before coming home to face Miami Marlins, which are near the bottom of the National League in fantasy.
Yes. Yeah, the Rangers have been kind of disappointing this year as well. They're under 500. I think people thought the Rangers would probably be one of the best teams again in baseball
As defending champs, yes.
since they won the World Series last year. So
Right.
and yeah, so they're
And I
33.
don't think their roster changed that much
No,
from
uh,
last year to this year.
they've had a couple of injuries, I think, and
Yeah.
but yeah, now they're losing 14-2 against the Grimace-led New York Mets. So they run into that juggernaut. So maybe they'll be even reeling by the time the Royals play them, who are hopefully coming off a high after running over the Athletics in their 3 games. So yeah,
Yeah.
the schedule's gotten easier, and the Royals have been beating up on those teams under 500. I believe they had a were like 17 they were about 17 games over 500 against teams under 500 records. So
Right.
uh so maybe they'll extend that.
I don't think there's been any update on Michael Massey yet. No, it seemed like the Royals were playing their best when Massey was in the lineup.
Yes.
I believe in games that he started, the team is 10 games over 500. And so without him, they were 1 game under 500.
Yeah, treading water, yeah, and maybe
Yes.
sneaking a little bit.
But, uh,
So yeah,
but
it would be good to have Massey back. Massey was his back issue. Was that
yeah,
so
and those
that's
could be
something?
back injuries could be really tricky.
Yeah, and they can recur fairly often too. So even if you're healthy, they can flare up again. So
Yeah.
hopefully when he comes back, he'll stay back, and hopefully he'll come back in the not too distant future. Um, Speaking of the not too distant future, should we wrap up this episode of the One Trick Power Hour and adjourn for next week?
Sounds good.
since this has been a fairly short episode of the One Trick Power Hour, since we are filming earlier in the week than normal. But we'll be back next week with another exciting and action-packed episode. As the month of June comes to an end, July starts up. We're really going to be having a lot more news to cover because we have the Major League Baseball draft coming up in mid-July. We have the Olympics coming up towards the end of July, then Chiefs training camp, and the NFL season starting
There'll be a trade deadline too. It'll be at the end of
the Major
July.
League Baseball trade deadline. We also maybe we could talk about the finals for the um, European Soccer Championships and the Copa America men's championships as well that are going to be going into the month of July. So both of those just started, but we'll talk about our bets and things like that. We'll have more things to bet on. We'll make Olympic bets. We will have all sorts of violating the spirit of amateurism that the Olympics have long time espoused. But we will be betting on anyone we can find willing to take our bet. I know Andrew has been looking at Japanese sprinter Abdul Hakim Sani Brown as a plus 4,200 possibility to win the men's 100-meter dash. He's Noah Lyles from the United States is plus 170. He's the current favorite to win the men's 100 meters. So we have all these different things that we can bet on. I think also Dr. Scaff is interested in the Hungarian national team in their water polo odds. Hungary, as we all know, is a longtime water polo stalwart in the Olympics. It's one of perhaps their national sport is water polo, which is interesting because we don't really see them they're a landlocked nation. They are not but I guess water polo takes place in a pool, so you don't need to be on the beach to play water polo.
Yeah, not much open water polo. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I guess they swim. Maybe they do water polo in Lake Balaton, which is one of the largest lakes in Central Europe. That's located in Hungary. Uh, so that's my guess. But we'll talk about water polo and all these other exciting sports as we get closer to the Olympics. And we hope that we'll continue to follow the Major League Baseball action as we get closer and closer to the draft, All-Star weekend, and the trade deadline. And we'll see how I believe the NBA finals are almost over now. Are we have a final score yet?
Still 2 minutes to go.
Two
Still a
minutes.
20-point game.
106 to 85. So it looks like the Celtics are going to win. Hopefully, the Oilers, at least for my purposes, come back and make a series of it against the Panthers. But by the time we come back next week, maybe that series will be over as well. So all these exciting things to look forward to. And as always, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the One Trick Power Hour. Please like and subscribe to our podcast or our YouTube channel. And you can also watch or listen to our constantly expanding and growing archive of old episodes that are, even though we're talking about topical topics of the day, I think sometimes these things can be watched out of order or listened to out of order because there are hilarious insights and intriguing tales of wonder and whimsy that are included in every episode of the Morning Trip Power Hour. So we encourage you to delve into the archives. And until next week, when we meet again, we will wish you a good day.